What is up, guys? Lord Nick here, bringing you another One Piece related video, guys. This video is a bit of a retooling of Rebecca. We've tweaked things, we've changed things, we've omitted certain characters and added in other ones, and we've retooled the list multiple iterations throughout today. I've gotten in a decent amount of testing overall. And from it, some of the big testing that I've been able to do and things that I was able to kind of utilize was how much of a necessity is it to have puddings, for instance, in the list? How necessity is it to have something like Trunos in the list? I think because 5 drops are becoming more prevalent, Truno is kind of in that realm of we might need to have more of them in the list now. Um, but in the case of puddings, I'm putting 3 in. I don't think we necessarily need 3, but it's kind of a work in progress. We could drop it down to 2, but I just want a consistency of being able to see it into the matchups we need it in. And there's now more matchups than I think before that we needed in. And it just helps with a couple of matchups, makes them a little bit easier than they were before for some folks. I know for me, like, I never really fretted about having to fight an L. But for some people, it was one of those like, ugh, I hate dealing with an L. So it makes it a little easier when you have a pudding because it gets rid of a lot of cards. You can actually be a bit more aggressive into their life, and then you pudding to just punish it. So ultimately, I think that there's a bit more options of being able to run her. Perona is still relatively prevalent. I think the way that Bonnie plays now is even greedier than it was before, so it helps in that matchup. And then in the case of Reiju, it can help with that matchup if they get too big of a hand. And then I'm trying to think. Oh, and in the fact that we now have Starter Deck Luffy. Starter Deck Luffy actually sits on a pretty decent sized hand. He isn't consistently KOing a ton all the time, but once he gets into that late game groove, he can be. And in many of my matchups, I've had him where he stocks up a hand of 7 cards and like 4 of them are 2Ks. So if we, get rid of 2 cards and the chances of those 2Ks coming back, he's going to be significantly reduced. So ultimately, I think the puddings have even more value this set than they did before. I think Gravity Blade is too slow for a deck that doesn't maintain tempo as much, so I have cut it down, but I've additionally added another Aramaki for a bit more consistency there. The 2 newer cards from the most recent set that we're tooling in are going to be Jack and Huzu. I found both of them have been really, really good. If I were to debate on some stuff, um, I have debated about doing a list that is just Lucci as opposed to the Luffys. Um, and it is arguably still a list that you could do. It makes it a little bit easier with the consistency of KOing stuff, and it makes patchwork better because you could just patchwork into a Lucci, which is nice. So there's some argument there, and it might get tested out later. But for now, this is what we're going to be running. This is what we're going to try out. Let's try to get us into a matchup or two. And we're going to try to play into some OP08 matchups, and we're going to try to pick specifically starter deck Luffy if we can, or something that's a little bit more meta relevant. Like right now, Zoro's will be relatively meta relevant. Here, seeing as we cut down some of the bottom decking, let's go into a black yellow Luffy, see if we can get some stuff here. We get to go second. It's not necessarily a hand we want to keep early. This is a fine hand, actually. This is okay. So we're going to start off with leader. We want the Luffy. We already have an Orlumbus. We'll deploy the stage and pass. So this next turn, we're just going to develop an Orlumbus. It's highly unlikely that he's going to just Luffy on curve to do this, but he might. Another matchup where the pudding does help us here. Like he's now at 7 life. If we find an early pudding, we might pudding on this coming turn. No, so we'll just Orlumbus and we'll pass. He could Luffy here. He could rocket Luffy to KO the Orlumbus, but I kind of doubt he's going to do that. If he does it here now, it's because he's putting it into life and he's going to use a baby Luffy. Does not seem like he's doing that, though. I'm not 100% sure what his game plan is here, but... this because we're going to need that later. Yeah, I'm not 100% what his game plan is because he just decided to try to mill himself as fast as he can, which I don't think is necessarily the play. And he just rawed that? Bro, what are you doing? Oh, he has no idea what my deck does. That's nice for me, I guess, but like um 5 5. Do I go 10? 10 into 5? That's not a terrible concept, right? Like, we're not really threatened right now. Good gab. All right, let's see if we can find somebody that actually knows what they're doing with their deck. Because that was crazy bad play by that Luffy. We'll leave that in the video, though, because we want to show the case of that. I'm hopefully going to be able to get us a starter deck Luffy. Heck yeah, let's go. So this matchup from my testing today has been absolutely dreadful for us. It's like one of the matchups where we definitely want more gravity blades. This is really bad early game. We're gonna mulligan it just because it was just such an abysmal early game. We need more pressure early. We'll take a Luffy because we can't take the rest. We do have a pudding now, so that's pretty good actually for this matchup. Oh, no draw. That's pretty good for us actually. No tempo. I mean, we could have swung with Rebecca there, but I don't really think we need to or want to currently. We are going to save the Orlumbus for a bit. We're going to play him when we have a combo to play him with. Okay, so you're swinging 7 at lead. We'll resolve that. Let that through. Nothing. And then 5 at lead. Okay. I don't want to give him a 2K, and we want to hold on to this pudding for now, so we'll give him the Sabo, because we can get back with Rebecca later. It's not a big deal. There's no shot he protects the brand new, right? What is this guy's hand that he's protecting brand new here? All right, we'll bait it out. See if he has the Sabo ready. We'll pass. I mean, if he has the Sabo, we're just... or not Sabo. I keep saying... I said Sabo twice there. If he has the Sanji. That's who I meant. Sorry. Misspoke. If he has the Sanji here, then we lose Orlumbus. But if not, then hey, we're in an okay spot. If he plays anything else, we KO it. Say you do that, and then you play 5, you play the Sanji, KO the Orlumbus, make my life hell. No block, give you a Bardo. There it is, that's one of them. Hey, you get my Surger. We could play yeah. He's staying at 5. We'll just play the Luffy. We'll just raw dog the Luffy real quick. Tell him he needs to have Ice Age. He lost a stage off that surgery. That's kind of crazy. But he needs an Ice Age and he needs another Sanji, which hopefully he doesn't have. Because Ice Age, Brook won't do it. If he has Ice Age, if he has, let's see, could he Robin Brook here? No, he can't Robin Brook. He can't Robin into any of his KO because he doesn't have a 1-drop KO. He could Suru into another Sanji. Yep, he could do that too. That is a play. So he's just gonna split up, try to swing at life a lot. We're gonna get rid of the pudding for now, because right now he's not doing enough where I want to take that many hits at a time. Yeah, and that one gets through. Ooh, so many 2Ks. So I can -3 something. So if we -3 him, that puts him into range to die. So we need to be able to take this out. I mean, this is the thing that has to die, right? So I think we have 7. Yeah, we have enough. Get a 2K out of his hand. And we just leave the Luffy alive, because now he has to debate between 2 characters. Not necessarily an ideal board state to be in, but we did clean up one of his big reducers, and it's bottom deck, so he's not getting it back anytime soon. Like I said, this is a really rough matchup. It is one of the few matchups that forces us to want to run Gravity Blade. And so there is an argument to run 4 Gravity Blades in this meta because of this deck. My read though was that this was going to be a deck. My read was that this is a deck for the pocket meta. The in between 07 and 08, that 7.5 just for Nats, just for Cardfest. And that it would fall off afterwards. But honestly, I think it's kind of a misread by me and a lot of folks that I'd gotten that corroborated by. A lot of folks that I was chatting with were like, yeah, this deck's going to fall off. It's not strong enough to actually be a consistent tier deck, right? And so I was like, okay, you know, that makes sense. It's just not strong enough, arguably. The problem with that read, the problem with that thought process, is that it is very, very likely that this deck will stick around. Just due to the fact that it actually messes with the decks that are going to be the top of the meta. You know, we absorbed that one. All right, just shit tons of 2Ks out of life. This is great. We love this. Love anything of use here. We'll block. You baited. Ooh, Rebecca would be kind of nice right now. Not gonna lie. Get back a Sabo. Wait, is this Sabo a 6 or a 5? Should be a 6, right? So that puts him in the 3. That's problematic. Use leader ability. Less problematic, maybe? So we do Rebecca. Yeah. Get you, deploy you, no target. Deploy you. -4, KO, tap leader. Eight. Enter. All right, we have a board state. I mean, he can Sanji again. He can get the Sanji back with like a Rebecca. I mean, I think he's been looking for like his geckos, maybe. Um, we could use a Kuzan. If we find a Kuzan, we actually have a real good shot of winning this. But at least having the Orlumbus gives us the ability to keep using our Luffy over and over and over. I so I was really big on Jack and Husu. I know I might have mentioned that at the beginning of this. I've remade the video multiple times, so I don't remember if it's still in this version. But ooh, that is a -7 on Aramaki. He does kill the Aramaki off. He used his 3 cards to do it, but yeah, hey, we take those. Our Luffy's just going to be clearing off characters that matter. Oh, is he going to try to clear the Luffy here? What's he clearing? No, sir. You can have a Rebecca blocker. That's fine. That's pretty good. Let's draw a card. Ooh, no draws. That hurts. Deploy. Honestly, we're in a spot and we just get rid of these because we have a blocker. What can you do about it? 7 into your brook so you don't have any character that matters. Five into your lead. Already leader ability, right? 6 into your lead. Bottom, 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 bottom. Enter. Because we don't need to play the Brook. I mean, we could play the Brook here, but it's just giving him, because we got the Brook after we Saboed, it just gives him a target that he could actually KO. So we're trying to bait him to overload the board real quick so that we can Kuzan this following turn and KO whatever. Because between him and the Kuzan, yeah, see, like that's going to die. Luffy clears everything else, essentially. Get back a Rebecca, which can get you back Sanji Dand. What are you trying to get back to Ant? Sanji Dand. You got no 1-drops to play. So you can either get back Sanji to hand, or you can get back a Brook and deploy a Brook, which real dumb if he deploys the Brook. Oh, he's deploying the Brook. Alright. Hell yeah. We take those. And we probably actually take the hit to face here. Yep, you reduced the Sabo. Good for you. So, like, it's just going to be 1 attack to face. We'll drop down to 1. He doesn't have any rushers. And we want to maintain blockers right now. So, Kuzan is still probably the option here. Yeah, it really depends who he swings at. Because if he swings at Orlumbus, then we have to sack the Sabo. But if he swings at face, we just take it. Because we need the Orlumbus to be able to just crack back, clear his board this next turn. Yeah, no. That doesn't... No fly. No fly there, buddy. Alright, so... 5 a Brook. Seven a Brook. We'll let the Luffy be arrested. 7 a Brook. 5 a lead. Second turn. That's fine by me. He doesn't get to play as Robin now. He could Ice Age into a Sabo, but he didn't get a Sabo back. Or I keep saying Sabo. He could Ice Age into a Sanji to clear the Kuzan. That's one less Sanji we have to deal with. He goes for the Orlumbus at that point, but I mean, still the Orlumbus is just repeated value. We should have enough at that. With an Orlumbus, we'll have enough to be able to Luffy. All right, so you're doing that. That's fine by me. That means you can't Sabo and you can't Sanji to kill this now. You got rid of a Rebecca and a stage. He hasn't played a stage a single time yet, which I think is craziness. Okay, so he's just going lethal here. You get a 2K for that. So I'll hold on to the Brook. There's a Jack. He's not terribly useful at the moment. We did get a Sabo. That's pretty good. I don't really need the Jack or the Orlumbus here. Five there. Ten on lead. You. We're just trying to mill some cards, get some cards back so we can restand Luffy if we need. 3K counter in hand. We have another life. He's down to 2. We just need to be able to play restand Luffy next turn if we need it to kill. Oh no, Anisho. Doesn't do shit to me. What you swinging at, big boy? So that makes you 6, 7, 8. and we are fine. So, sorry, got a little quiet there. Let me walk you through the reasoning that I just did there for that. So I could put I could put 7 Dawn on the Luffy there, right? Crack in with the Luffy. He'd be at 5 cards. Luffy's coming in for 14. He's a 6k leader if I don't kill the Isho. So he'd need 14 into 2. That means he needs 4 2Ks out of that 5. We could still potentially kill him. We've seen... I could have done a count on the 2Ks. There's 1 there. I think we've seen 3 or 4. The chances of it aren't high, right? There's not a real high chance that he has enough counter to survive that. But he doesn't have any rush. So there's no chance that he can crack back and kill me this turn. Like, there's just no chance he can kill me this turn. And the next turn, I will have Jack, I'll have Kuzan, I have an Orlumbus, and I have a Luffy. I have a guaranteed win the following turn. So I could risk it a turn. Or I do this, where I have too many big attacks that he cannot handle, and we win the game. So in the situation, if I had 1 life, or if I had 0 life, we go for it, right? Like, that's a situation where we go for it. We still probably play like the Brook to KO the Isho, so he goes down to a 5k later. But we okay, yeah, you go face, that's fine. I get another Brook and I win. Good game, buddy. But in that type of scenario there's not... we have a blocker up. There's not really a need to take the risk. I could take the risk, and if I lose, and if I don't KO his Isho, or like if I don't kill him and I haven't KO'd his Isho, he wins the game. So yes, it gives him an extra turn, but there's nothing he can do with that extra turn. In this case, in this scenario, there's not an extra turn he can do anything with. Now, I could have not used the Luffy to clear it one of those turns. I think that the chances of him cracking back and getting a kill would be there. This deck is very grindy and very difficult for us to deal with. Mainly because his leader ability will make everything plus. The fact that he did not play any of his stages, like, it got late in the game and he felt like he just didn't have the Dawn efficiency to play a stage, I guess, I think is a mistake, because it will turn his leader ability on, and him swinging 7 opposed to swinging 6 every time is significantly harder to deal with. On top of that, if he has Brooks, his Brooks become 5 costs, which, again, is very annoying to deal with until we get a Kuzan on board. Once we got the Kuzan and he couldn't find a way to kill it, we were in a good spot. There's just not much you can do if you just can't kill the Kuzan. So, ultimately, that's really going to be one of the few ways we can beat this deck, is to grind out, clear board, consistently remove, and pray to God he doesn't see a Gecko before we get some of our top end going. But it's a lot of hoping and praying, because it's not a good matchup. Mainly because everything he has is almost always 1 to 2 costs higher, and that's rough. That's hard to deal with as a black deck mostly. And like I said, that is one of the handful of decks that is encouraging me to want to put back in more Gravity Blades. But I've just found that, like, the True Nose, for instance, is just earlier on, helps us deal with something like Bonnie, for instance, a bit more. The Jacks are a very nice closing late game kind of card, to help us filter some. He can also be on curve filter that can get rid of some early game cards potentially. Or if we already have like an Orlumbus Rebecca out on curve, we just play Jack and we can remove a 7 cost. So whatever they played on their 5 cost turn is just dead. And they don't have a real way of removing the Jack, which, I mean, makes their job easier, right? They oh, if I can remove something, now I gotta remove the Orlumbus. But, like, the Jack is a looming threat at that point, and then anytime we can establish cost reduction, he's there. So there's an argument that maybe we just go into more Jacks and we get rid of the Gravity Blade in general. But there are a couple matchups where the Gravity Blade does matter. The puddings, I think, matter, but I think there is argument again also there of making these 2 Gravity Blades into Jack. Yes, we go up to a crap ton of non-counter, but we have 10 2Ks, and we're going to be milling a ton. On top of that, we have Who's, and at that point, we'll have 3 Jacks to help get stuff out of our hands, and 3 Aramakis to help get stuff out of our hands. So having all these dead cards, as long as we can play them properly, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. arguably that might be the route I go. This might, instead of being a third, it might be a third jack, and it might be just a second gravity blade and then one more who's who. So it's a 3-3-2. Maybe we get rid of 2 of these and it becomes a jack and a gravity blade and stays 1 pudding. I don't know. The ratio isn't quite right yet, but I mean, this is the kind of work in progress that I'm at. So hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys like, subscribe, and maybe we can keep pounding some Luffys later. But until next time, guys, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye, guys.